Hello and welcome to FBL Broadcasting, brought to you by Canada Corporation Limited as well. I'm Martin from FBL, obviously, and we are joined today by the wonderful Aylesbury Mayor, Mike Smith. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Martin. How are you doing?
I'm not too bad. Getting there. We were having a little discussion offline, wasn't we, about grey hair, which was definitely the thing you notice when you don't have your COVID haircut, or as I call it, the COVID haircut, because you don't get to obviously get your hair done. So it's an interesting one, isn't it? Allowing other people to cut your hair. So as we discussed previously in communication, you've now changed addresses. So the question is your partner now able to cut your hair?
She is able to, theoretically. We haven't actually tried it on each other. I haven't actually had my hair cut since late November now.
Right.
So yeah, I don't. That's a couple of months, 2.5 months, which it doesn't grow very quickly, but it just goes into a strange sort of shape, and all the grey really starts to show. So, but then again, until today, nobody apart from Kerry was seeing it, so it didn't matter. Now, however many people are watching this are seeing that I've really let myself go. So there you go.
Well, put in the comments if you think the mayor's obviously let himself go, which it doesn't look like you have now. You still look as fit as always. You're obviously keeping up with your wombling, I believe.
I have been, yeah, plenty of just getting out for exercise, a little bit of running, a little bit of walking, and yeah, I've kept up with the litter picking. So yeah, any reasonable excuse under the current restrictions to go out and get some exercise, I'm taking that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great job the Wombles do, isn't it? I mean, going on from last year. By the way, congratulations! You're my first one on. I've literally had a rest for like a month and a half. I say a rest. I've been doing lots of other things, and
I'm sure you have, yeah,
lots of other things. But it's yeah. I wanted to bring you first back in 2021. So hello everybody, and hope you haven't missed me too much on my live streaming. But I should have got you to wear all your jewellery, mate. That's what I should have done. Just blinged you up again, and then.
Okay, next time. Next time we'll do the chain and everything. Yeah, happy to.
Well, I'll have to get some red cord and put it up there and do a virtual cut. You know.
Yeah, I've actually only got 3 months now to go as mayor of my extended 2-year term. So I'm looking for any excuse to put the chain on and get some more wear out of it.
I never thought I'd hear the mayor say that. Put the chain on, or a fellow male. There we go. So you've got 3 months left. I'm going to write this down. Are they not going to extend it anymore?
No.
The
government have decided that the elections scheduled for May the 6th are going ahead.
Well, there's a first.
So there'll be a new council elected, and therefore a new mayor will be elected, because I'm not standing for re-election, as I think I told you before, as a councillor.
I don't remember it, which is a shame, because I thought we were going to get you as MP at some point. But okay, why aren't you standing again?
Well, 2 reasons.
If you don't mind me asking, of course, by the way. So, sorry.
Well, I don't think there's any. Well, there may be some subjects that are off limit, but not many between us. Okay. So I'll happily answer your question. 2 reasons why I'm not standing again. One is that I have been a councillor for 26 years.
Oh, thank you.
And that has obviously been excellent, worthwhile, really enjoyable. But I feel it's time for a break.
Okay.
Focus on a few other things for a while. I may well come back to it. We will see. But having now coming up to completing 2 years as mayor feels like a good time to go out, having given the top job a go, and then see whether I feel like coming back to it in the future. The other reason is that, as you know, I'm now living with my partner, Kerry. We are in the process, the slow torturous process of buying a house together, which is ticking along incredibly. It's a particularly difficult time to be doing something like that, but we hope that within the next few months that will all go through, and we'll be living down in Surrey rather than Buckinghamshire. So obviously can't continue my connections with Aylesbury as much as I'd like to.
I don't believe you put in the comms that you're moving to Surrey. Well, I just overlooked that, being a typical male. You know, when you read something and you're moving to Surrey.
Yeah, well, this is where Kerry and her family are based, and for the last 4.5 years, one or other of us has been hacking up and down the M25 every weekend, and we thought we don't want to carry on doing that, so time to get together. And for various reasons, this is we'd love to be in Buckinghamshire, but for various reasons we really need to be round here. Kerry's family, Kerry's job. When I come to
what about your job?
My job made me redundant, so
no, I'm not having that. Right, I'm going to phone him up tomorrow. I'm going to have a word.
Please don't.
No,
I'm delighted about it. Again, that's something I've done for 23 years, and it was time to take a break from that as well. So when the chance of redundancy came up, I said yes. So I'm looking for, I don't know what, some other sort of job in a different field. So probably combining my political interests, my community involvement. You know, if I could be a full-time head Womble, that sort of job would work for me.
I'm sure Richard would allow that. I'm sure he'll be like, "Yep, there you go."
We'll see. So it's a whole new, fresh start for me.
It sounds it. Whereabouts in Surrey were you going? Or are you just not going to let us know, so you can stay hidden away from us? We're not going to let you go easily.
Not at all. No, I've got so many friends still in Aylesbury that I shall be keeping in touch, and as soon as we're allowed to travel again, I shall be back and forth as often as I can. So we're looking at Addlestone in Surrey, which is kind of near Weybridge.
Okay, nice area, sort of. Is it? Or?
It seems fairly pleasant from having looked at it. Apart from the house prices, you think Buckinghamshire is expensive? Well, I always thought Aylesbury was fairly expensive. You go down to South Bucks, Beaconsfield, and places like that, then you get really scary, and then it seems to be even a little bit more in Surrey.
Yeah, well, if you're buying a mansion, what do you expect, man? Sorry, I can't resist it. So, well,
you know what? When I've been talking to groups of school kids and brownies and cubs, as I do, and they come and see the council chamber and try on the robes, and I'm wearing the chain and showing them the mace and all the Olympic torches and all.
What, spraying them in the face with mace? That's a bit wrong. Hey, look, it's the first time back. Oh, first time back for me. There we go. So go on.
That's it. Yeah, your professional discipline has gone, hasn't it, Mark?
It's gone out the window.
Yeah. So anyway, back to what I was saying before I was rudely interrupted.
Sorry, Mayor. I apologise. I'm so sorry.
So these kids always ask me, "Do you live in a mansion or a palace?" And I show them a picture of my house, my very ordinary 3-bedroom semi-detached, and I point outside to my Vauxhall Corsa that I drove myself to the meeting in, rather than a chauffeur-driven limousine. And in some ways, they were a little bit disappointed. But also, what I then say is that I'm just an ordinary guy living in an ordinary house, and I've got the chance to become mayor, and any of you can be the same if you put your mind to it. So that gets them thinking.
That does. That's a very good way. And can I add to that, if you don't mind me saying? I mean, I've always gone against the grain, and especially the companies that I've worked in. I'm sure there's quite a few people who'll say, when they do watch this on the replay, as they say, will probably go, "Yeah, I can definitely confirm that one." is everybody's just a human being, and you can become anybody you so choose. You know, you just got to put the work in, haven't you? Really, that's the thing. If you put your mind to it, you can become anything, and don't let anybody put you down. There's far too much bad stuff in the world, and we'll come on to COVID in a second. But there is enough people out there who are going to put you down, I think. So always promote yourself, always make yourself look good if you can, and work hard, as I say. So.
Yeah, have a positive attitude, and things can happen.
Yeah, I think what's helped me in life is a positive attitude and a big smile, and always joking around. So, in a good way, and not interrupting the mayor, of course, obviously. So let's talk about the bad things in life. Unfortunately, we still have COVID. We're in a massive lockdown. So what was it? December when we last spoke, wasn't it?
It must have been a little while before Christmas.
Shall I add to the stream the data that is upon us? So I can throw at the bottom of the screen as well, if I can remember how to use this software, man. Just there we go. So at the moment, what it seems to be, I've got a little bit here. So last time we spoke, we had deaths at 67,616, but now it's at 114,851, which, you know, that's a massive jump, isn't it?
That really is. And I think when we were talking in December, our last few sessions, we were seeing cases going back up from the real low point during the summer, back up to several hundred a day. But I don't know if I thought that we'd be seeing regular numbers of over 1,000 in. I think we knew another wave was coming, but it's hit pretty hard. And it's very sad to see that go over 100,000, and now well over 100,000 deaths.
I mean, when we last talked, I mean, again, to all the families out there who obviously had somebody who's passed, you know, my heart out to you all, and you know, it's horrible to hear. But I'm getting a little bit confused with the numbers a little bit. Now, we talked about this last time. If you remember, I showed you that German website that had every bit of information in regards to all the numbers, didn't it? And when we tallied it up, remember, I looked at the area that you used to be in before you moved in with Kerry, but the numbers weren't totaling up. Did you go to any of the meetings in the council and say, well, I've been talking to, you know, Martin at FBL, and the numbers don't seem to be totaling what you're saying? Do you remember that?
I do remember that inconsistency in the numbers. I didn't actually challenge Martin Tett from Buckinghamshire Council on that. I think during December the updates were, you know, they were coming along thick and fast, and it just seemed to be changing every day and changing for the worse. So I think referring to statistics that by that time were a few days out of date, it didn't seem like there was a lot of value in doing that. But I suppose there's always been which of the many different types of figures do we actually want to or feel we can believe, or are we just looking at whether the trend graphs are going up at the moment or going down at the moment, and whether that means it's good news or bad news?
I mean, the stuff I've been looking at, and it's quite scary, because I tell you what, when you no longer follow the line and you go off piste, you do start to look at loads of theories, and you know, I have to look that up, throw that away. Not interested in that. But and also, do you know what? I missed the update today from number 10. There was one today. I was too busy getting this all ready for you because it's our first one. You can give me a little update, but the one from the 3rd of February. I think it was the 3rd of February. I'm just going to quickly play it. Now, this is a new thing we've got on this software that I'm using. So if I get it wrong, bear with me for 1 second. Now, I just want you to, I want to get what you want to say about it, or what you think. Are you ready? Because I'm going to push this button. I'm scared I might just cut us all off. So let us know in the comments as well if you've got any questions for the mayor. You know, it's always good. We ask and provide in there, and keep them clean as well, please. Right.
So it is no surprise to anybody, I think, and should not be, that even if we have a highly successful vaccine rollout, which we clearly are having, and the vaccines work very well, which we very much hope we'll have the solid data on very soon, there will still be residual risk. If you think of flu, which actually is probably less contagious, that's why we managed to get rid of flu completely this year, but with the NPI.
So the government has managed to get rid of flu this year. That's amazing. That is, I mean, I'm going to pat them on the back.
I think it's.
I really am. I'm going to celebrate.
I think you're sort of there's a little undertone behind your remarks.
There is
Martin.
a very big little undertone there.
And I think in a way you can say indirectly what's been happening with social distancing and lots of restrictions, so people not coming into contact with each other the usual way. I mean, that will have had a positive effect on any contagious disease. And I think it's just a fortunate byproduct of the way that we've chosen to go about tackling COVID that's led to this massive sharp reduction in what we might call normal flu.
Yeah. If personally, there is, I mean, when I was fuming when I saw that, and you are right, due to the measures, that's what they're saying, that's why there is no flu. But if you're telling me that there's nobody with flu out there, which is part of the coronavirus, then please explain to me how that's not there, because I do believe the figures are incorporating flu, even though people are putting down COVID-19. So the numbers are a little bit, and I'm worried.
Yeah, I mean, someone could have died with the direct cause being flu.
Yeah.
But if COVID-19 gets mentioned on the death certificate, that will be where it goes. So there's going to be some blurring of the boundary, and it's people have been saying, well, all these deaths being attributed to COVID, some of them are just the flu is completely the wrong expression. You know, if it's something that someone dies from, then it's a very serious thing. But the just the drawing of that boundary line just does arouse a little bit of suspicion in my mind, as it has in yours.
Yeah, it's a lot of suspicion. I mean, I'm really worried about the fear scenario out there for people. You know, I've explained to people about, they speak to me a lot about the vaccine. I know when we last spoke, you're pro-vaccine. I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm not just going to take it myself, because it's not a vaccine. It's an experimental vaccine. And that's one thing. It's not approved. It's approved, but only for emergency use. And it's a gene therapy. It's not actually a vaccine like the old vaccines. I mean, I've been reading a hell of a lot about mRNA. God, that's a tongue twister, I can tell you that. So, you know, people say to me, well, I don't know what to do. And I go, well, you need to look at, for instance, there's not a lot of information coming from the UK government, but the American seem to be allowing a lot of information to flow freely. I've read cases of, you know, certain things that happen to people when they're taking it, but again, you don't, you know, depending on how many people have taken it, against what reactions is a big thing that we have to weigh up. And in the reports that I've read from the British government, you know, that the majority of things that have, you know, affected people taking the vaccine is very minor, and they will go away within 5 to 7 days, or even a couple of days, as they mentioned in their reports. But there is this thing out there where people believe that this vaccine will stop the spread, which the government has clearly said, and I haven't got it ready for today, but it's not a prophylactic. You know, they want it to be, by all means, and that's how they've got the emergency release of the vaccine. Is for the prevention of coronavirus. And again, there's, you know, you just said about the murkiness of figures and how stats are done. Is a lot of the reports and stuff that I look at mention coronavirus in one and then COVID-19 in another, which is like, well, COVID-19 is what we're fighting, and coronavirus is like MERS, SARS.
It's a whole series of things, yeah. some of which have been around for a long time.
I mean, I've had serious arguments with, and I say arguments, my friends have been, and people have contacted me, they've been very forceful, or I won't say the word rude because they haven't, there's been some words being said about my take on things, like, oh, it's not experimental. I mean, what's your idea? I mean, this is, again, not from the Aylesbury Town Council Mayor Mike Smith. This is just your own personal sort of side. This is nothing from the council. But when you hear approved, do you think that means it's been approved in the normal regulatory way?
Well, I think the timescale's been a lot quicker.
Yeah.
But then I also read that that's because that's been possible because so many different people were working on it at the same time, and the scale of the testing was on a par with what would happen with a normal vaccine or a normal medicine. Just they crammed it into a much accelerated timescale. So I find that quite reassuring. I think we don't know. We've only just started seeing the first groups of people being vaccinated. It's going to take some time to see. Well, it's however many million. Yeah. Will they? What we don't know is, will they have immunity immediately? How long does it take to kick in? How long does it last? What happens between the two doses? Will it need a top up sometime after the second dose? I'm starting to think that it's quite likely that, like the flu vaccine, it's something that we might all have to go through year after year after year to keep up with the thing as it mutates. Because the flu vaccine, I've just had my first, a couple of months ago, I had my first ever flu vaccine. And again, that might be the reason why flu cases are down, because I have not been in a group or an age group where flu vaccine has been automatic for me every year, but they said as a precaution they were going to vaccinate a lot more people in my age group. And whether that contributed to helping keep the flu cases down or not, I don't know. But what I do know is that the flu vaccine they were administering this year wouldn't have been the same as it was last year and the year before, because it needs to constantly develop to keep up with changes in what it's fighting. And I think we'll have the same with COVID-19 or whatever other new strains of coronavirus come along. I'm sure there will be others. We might be in the position of dealing with pandemics on a fairly regular basis into the foreseeable future.
Well, I can see this with this experimental vaccine, exactly how they're going to need it with the variants. I mean, they've been talking about the variants, haven't they? South African variant, and how this experimental vaccine is literally might not cover that one because, or it won't have as much effect. You will need boosters. With every new variant, they will have to recode the mRNA. So yeah, that is something. It depends on how many variants there are, depending on how many shots you're going to need. And if it takes 2 shots, you've got to times that obviously by 2. So that's something that, you said you had the flu vaccine. So do you know the difference between the flu vaccine you've just taken and the experimental vaccine that is on the books, which you haven't taken yet, have you?
No.
No, you're not. You're not supposed to take it for at least, I think, a week until you're, because when you have a jab, it can reduce your immunity system, so to speak. It needs time to fight and build the antibodies and do what it needs to do. So that they do, I think they do say, don't have it one. The doctor would tell you, or nurse or whatever, say, well, actually, no, you'll have to wait. But are you down for a vaccine? Are you, or?
I'm not in one of the top priority groups. I'm in the 55 to 60, which is.
You're in what, 27?
Look at the grey hair, Martin.
Yeah. Good point. I'm only 28. It comes through quickly.
So I think the government's saying aim or hope to vaccinate all the over 50s by May. So that's
right
kind of when I'm expecting to be called up. We will wait and see whether it goes to plan and goes to timescale. Can I just say one thing while it's just popped into my head? Regardless of what we think about the vaccine, whether it's the right thing and effective and whatever, there's been an absolutely superhuman effort by not just the NHS and Buckinghamshire Council, but by loads and loads of volunteers helping out, keeping the vaccination centres going. You know, everything from standing out in the freezing cold weather we've had recently, helping to direct the traffic, making sure people go to the right place. And the feedback I've had from members of the public, I spoke to a couple in their late 70s over the weekend about something else. I was talking to them about something else completely, but they said, "Oh, you're the mayor, aren't you? Can you do this? Can you publicly thank everyone involved?" Because they turned up, they were quite nervous, and they said everyone was not just professional and efficient. Every single one of them had a smile on their face, knew exactly what they were doing, and just gave those people confidence that it's going to be okay. You don't have anything to worry about. Everything's going to be, you're going to be kept where you need to be, away from other people. You'll get through as quickly as possible, and it's all going to just calm people's nerves, keep them comfortable. So I was really pleased that we're, as a town, this was at the Stoke Mandeville Stadium site for vaccination.
Okay.
Really positive feedback. So that's really good to know.
That is.
Sorry to interrupt with that, but it's been on my mind. When am I going to get the opportunity to give out this public thanks that people wanted me to do? And here it is. Definitely. You heard it here first.
There we go. I'm glad. I'll snippet it out and I'll put it out for you as well. So they are making sure that everybody is kept away from each other, and that is this where this person, obviously, when they asked you, were they really scared about obviously being in contact with other people? And
they were just nervous about the whole experience. They didn't really know if they would know what to do, where to go, whether they'd accidentally end up in a big crowd of people and whatever. But it was all the volunteers, the marshals or whatever they call them, were telling them exactly where to go, when they needed to be moving forwards, etc. And they said from the moment they got there, they felt reassured that they were going to be well looked after and well treated. And so they were.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear it. How many people are, I mean, I'm not being out really, so how many people have you got at the Aylesbury, that stadium really? Well,
I haven't been able to go there to have a look for obvious reasons. I know that a couple of friends of friends have got themselves involved, and one of our town council staff has been out there doing that. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's dozens or even hundreds from across the community, again coming together to help out others in a time of crisis. One of the things that I've always loved best about Aylesbury, when things are looking a bit tough, we pull together, we do what we need to do, and we look out for each other.
We saw that with the flood as well, didn't we? People pulling together and helping.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
Good old Aylesbury keeps it going. Just quickly go back then to something I just said. Do you know the difference between the two vaccines, between the one that you've just taken with your flu and the one that what's actually been given out, which is the mRNA vaccine?
I don't know what you're about to tell me, because I know that you look into the science of all these things.
I'm no scientist. I'm no medical professional. I'm just a normal human being like everybody else who is not educated in that certain way of the field. Let me just reiterate that. But I have looked into that stuff, and the difference between mRNA and or the old side of vaccines, because this is how vaccines are going to become, these mRNAs, is that again, if I get this wrong, please put it in the comments and please explain to me, or tell me how to say it properly. But basically, with the old way of doing a vaccine is they'll take a cell, they'll neutralize, for instance, the virus, they kill it, they put it in there, and then they pump that into you with solution and whatever. With mRNA is a code. They kind of somehow put it on to the protein that then gets injected into you that tells your body to create the antibodies. So it's basically a genetic code. So if anybody's got Netflix, watch Biohackers, really good series to watch. It does explain quite a lot, which does mean we're now coding ourselves to, it's a bit like your Windows update. Put it like that. So now you're getting a code that's being pumped into you to tell your body to produce the antibodies. What I do find interesting is, and I haven't been able to find anything yet, which is in regards to are the antibodies that are produced the same as the antibodies that are produced by somebody who's already had the virus? That's an interest, which is, I am sure once in a while or eventually I'll either come against somebody who'll be able to obviously tell me, please let me know in the comments or send me a link to that information if you know it. But yeah, it's an interesting one because they're still saying if you had COVID, take the vaccine, this experimental vaccine. And again, that's why it's experimental, by the way, is it hasn't, if you don't mind me to clarify and maybe reassure people, the reason is why it's approved and not licensed, and that's the difference. You've got approved and then you've got licensed. Licensed means it's gone through all the trials, and that's also based on time. So when a vaccine normally comes out, for instance, like your flu-based sort of one, it's actually gone through a load of processes of, time constraints as well. They might make a change to the, as in the case, I hate to use the word variant or whatever, but the strand is what they would call it in the industry, I believe, or strain. And that's actually what they put in the flu vaccine. So I think there's 4 different strands and they only give you 2 when it comes to flu. They decide on, or 2 to 3, they decide on the hoodoo. They decide on what's more prevalent to happen or what they see coming through. And that's what you're getting vaccinated against. With mRNA, again, it's, it's a recode. It's basically, it's gene therapy. It's not like a dead cell, or inactivated cell that you'd have in the flu vaccine. It's actually just a code that they're sending into your body. So again, it's an interesting one. And this goes with, like, for instance, it's like a recode of your body, a bit like a Windows update. So yeah, you saying earlier about you can see there be many updates. Yeah, there can be. So it is okay. Maybe not every Wednesday like they do on Microsoft where they release all their updates, but it will be something that will be constant. And they still don't know. And again, the point is, as I've said to a lot of people, and I reiterate this, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. If you believe, fear is the biggest thing out there. Don't fear nothing. Just learn, read up and understand. All I want you to do is have the knowledge before you step forward, as they say. And this is the big thing here, is if you want to take the vaccine, take it. If it makes you feel settled, take it. If you believe, or, you understand all the implications that could happen, then take it. Just be educated in your response on what you're doing, because this is something that's going to happen quite regularly. And once you start, obviously, as you mean to go on, you probably carry on with more. So the only thing I've got to add, and with all the stuff I've looked at, is probably you want to isolate for the first 3 weeks. And I mean literally isolate, because it does lower your immunity in the first week, or it lowers the way it actually reacts. So make sure you do that. But yeah, I do tell people, please, don't think I'm an anti-vaxxer. If it fear, what's going on out there is there's seriously a big divide going on. And maybe I can get your little take on this, big take, or, what you think. There's people saying that if you don't take the vaccine, you're going to kill people, basically, because you're going to spread it. But if you take the vaccine, you can still spread it. So it's like, well, why? This is what I've had with even friends, close friends. Well, if you don't take the vaccine, you're going to kill people because you're going to spread it. It's like, well, no. So if you take the vaccine, you don't spread it. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, no, you need to read up.
No, I don't think it stops you from transmitting it. Or I think it lowers the transmission.
There's a possibility. But then again, if you catch it, and you have the antibodies, they're still telling you to take the vaccine, experimental vaccine. You know, and to me, before you put anything into your body, and that includes, I'm not being funny, water, milk, you know, we've had this discussion before, you know, meat, even, you know, agriculture, anything, plant-based diets, they've all got things that might have happened, pesticides and stuff, all that, you know, you've got steroids, you know, meat. Before you put anything in your body, if you really are conscious, then read up about it and find out, you know. So, but yeah, the transmission is still going to happen. They've even said it. I mean, it's in this, you know, they keep on saying, keep people safe and help the NHS. You know, by all means, I want to help the NHS, and literally because again, we've got rid of flu. So if we all stay in lockdown, then, you know, we're not going to obviously spread it as much, are we? So, and then it should peter out. But I mean, the numbers are coming down again. Kind of got a bit sidetracked there. I do apologise. So if we just bring up the data again, excuse me, I've got a cough. So yeah, we've still got. I mean, everything is coming down, isn't it? It's pointing downwards, as we see here. I mean, that's going up, which is so. There's more tests being conducted, but the numbers are coming down. So that's a bit of good news, isn't it? To be fair. But total cases in the UK is 3,988,000, or total cases being in the UK is 3,985,161. Total cases in Bucks, 28,677, which I believe we can get from. I don't want to lose the screen. I'm looking at my data, even though it's coming across the bottom. When we last looked at that, total cases in Bucks was 11,257. So that's an interactive map. Rolling rate 280.4 as well. That's for my area, which again we can look at that and go into more detail by using some of the skills that I have, as they say, or the information that I have. Again, you know, finding that website in Germany where it gives us all the numbers of the people in the wards. So this is people tested positive in the Aylesbury Vale area is 49, and I got to admit, let's just quickly get rid of that for a second. Government is listening. They did create this nice little data set. Remember before when I had to obviously use the BBC site, so it is quite good, isn't it?
Yep. We're getting a bit more of the detail from our local areas, and in, you know, those what is it, 189 cases per 100,000 you quoted?
Or they quoted, not me.
Well,
So where is it? I had it up on here actually. Let's scroll across the bottom anyway. But deaths, total cases is 3,985,161. Total cases in Bucks 28,677. Deaths in Buckinghamshire 876, and cases per 100,000 189. Oh, wait, there it is. Just
that was the figure, yeah. So when we were talking in December, I think that was getting up to 800 or something. So
that's a good one.
That's a really sharp drop.
When we discussed it back in December, it was 122.
I think that might have been what it was starting to shoot up from, because right. I think at one point it was around about the 800 mark. That was when it really accelerated during a crazy couple of weeks during December, when we really started to get fearful that Bucks was going to be one of the worst hit areas and possibly be under the tightest restrictions. But then the whole country went into lockdown, so we're in the same boat as everyone else. So it's good to see that number coming back down again. Have you got any figures for the R number at the moment?
Yeah. Didn't mean it to be like that, but yes. I was going to say, yeah, there is actually. It's just at the top here. Estimated 0.6 to 0.9 of a daily infection growth rate. Oh, no, hang on, that wasn't it. That's the vaccinations. Oh, yeah, this will have it on here, I think. I do have it somewhere. If not, I can go to the BBC site, which I do have on the tab. Where is it? Bit good news here is the 25.7% compared to the previous 7 days. So It's down 25%. Where's the R number? Why is it's a bit like the rabbit thing, you know, headlights. I don't know where it is. I know it's there. Right, let's have a look. It's interactive map. I think one of them shows the R rate. Come on, it's got to be here somewhere, isn't it? First dose, 0.99. Oh, yeah, there it is. It was that. Estimated R number of the healthcare of the South East. Obviously, trying to read too quick. 0.6 to 0.9 of a daily infection growth rate range of -7 to -4 as of the 5th of February. So anything less than 1 means a decrease. Anything above 1 means it's actually increasing in infections. It's multiplying, isn't it? That's why you're always asking for that number, correct?
That's it. Yeah, that's the one that needs to stay below 1 and hopefully well below 1 for us to have it more under control. So it appears that's the direction we're going in.
It does. Again, it's again the numbers and the stats and how they. Again, are they testing? This again, it's one of those things I still haven't got clarity on, and I do like to say stuff without having to. You know, when you've got certainty, that's one thing I like is to be able to say stuff where, you know, when you take the test, it's for COVID-19, but at the moment, I don't know whether actually that test is coronavirus, which obviously covers the multitude of viruses out there, or whether it's COVID-19 specific. Which is quite interesting because even the WHO can't explain or able to isolate COVID-19 itself, which brings me back to the mRNA. If you don't, they've been able to shadow it or something, which is how the vaccine actually kind of works, or the experimental vaccine. But going back to obviously with numbers and stuff, and this is why people are really scared out there, aren't they? I mean, these are huge numbers, and like I showed earlier, you know, are they as bad as they're saying? Obviously, it's going to be big because people are suffering. One of them being the Womble Richard. He obviously had it because he actually came on the lockdown show, and you could clearly see he was laboured in his breathing. You know, and it was really nice, Richard, for actually coming on. That was really great of you. And you know, he did have a cough and fit. You know, I muted him a bit because, you know, obviously you don't want to interrupt the broadcast, but. And then, you know, he carried on. But it's one of those things like, you know, I'd rather be able to say I can fully, confirm that the government are releasing the correct information. And without doubt, that's correct. So that people, you know, when people come up to me and say stuff or send me stuff, I don't believe it. And they're like, why? Because you need to prove it, you know. And one of these things, when Whitty turned around and said that the other day, which I showed you, it really enraged me because it's like turning around and saying you've got rid of something that they've been trying decades to do, and they, you know, vaccinate. And now the biggest point about vaccination is to stop the burden on the NHS, because influenza is a very bad virus to catch, and that's why they inoculate. So very, you know, I mean, when people are so, you know, and this is what's scary, is when people, there's a divide there. And now there's a big thing I've heard and I've been, you know, made party of, is this: if you're not vaccinated, you actually can't work, which is against the human right. We're still part of human rights legislation. Companies, and I mean in care homes, they're saying this. They're saying if you don't vaccinate, you no longer have a job, or you can't get a job if you don't vaccinate, which personally is disgusting. And I'm saying that, and you know, I'll cut this out later and put it on the net. It's disgusting that companies are actually turning around and they have no right to put anybody in the firing line of anything without consent, and to hold people to their to their job that, you know, they first signed up, you know, and been working there a good couple of years. What's your take on that?
I don't know how widespread that's going to be and how enforceable it's going to be, particularly if it's a job that somebody is already in. It's, I don't know, I'm trying to think what to compare it to. I mean, some companies have, for example, a zero tolerance drug drugs policy. So whether or not you're under the influence of drugs at work, even if you're in your own private time, you are involved in certain types of drugs, they will say that's a sackable offence.
Yeah.
Now, as someone who is liberal-minded, I would say, well, has that got anything directly to do with their performance of their duties and how effective they're going to be? If it hasn't, then the employer should probably just butt out of it and not get involved there. Yeah, maybe different with the COVID-19 vaccine if, for example, and this is an if we've talked about, if it does reduce the transmission rate, then they could say not having the vaccine means you're bringing risks to your colleagues, particularly if everyone's back in the workplace at some point. But if that's not the case, or if that's not been proven, and it's just about you making personal decisions based on your own risk cost benefit analysis, and you've chosen to take a different decision than someone else might do, again, that's about personal freedom. And I'm not someone that says the state has the right to take away personal freedoms, even if it might be something that the majority of us disagree with that person's viewpoint. They're entitled to hold that viewpoint. So it can get really, really difficult.
I personally think if any company, and this goes out to anybody, any company or any manager does say to you, you must vaccinate else you lose your job, you need to get a written consent from that person where they'll be held personally responsible. Because if anything happens to you and there is adverse reaction and side effects from this experimental vaccine that and that includes death, by the way, there has been there's cases that shown in America. I can show you a spreadsheet that I've read all these conditions that can happen, and I've read reports from people that have filed stuff who've had adverse reactions, but they're on a minority of it. Let me just explain that to people. They're a minority, not a majority of people who've been vaccinated. But seriously, you need them to sign that declaration, because the human rights bill that we accept means that we won't have that, and that company representative need to sign some formal declaration that they will actually sack you if you do not have it, because that's if somebody was to die of having a vaccine, then that's corporate manslaughter. That is, I just find it, and this is the thing why I'm really worried out there, that there is a divide in society where there is people who are pro-vaccinating and people who are anti, again, I hate to use the word anti-vax, they're not pro-vaccine, or they don't want to have the vaccine. And they're perfectly within their right. It doesn't help stop the spread, even though there is a slight percentage that they say so in the results that the government kind of released. They're not results, it's just a little report. If you look up the CDC, by the way, that's where I've been looking to look at a lot of information in regards to the vaccine. But you've got this split where people just, if you take this, mRNA vaccine, this gene therapy, if you take it, it literally is just recoding your body, and it's giving you the antibody. That's all it's doing. And it's not stopping, or it's not, a majority of people won't stop the spread of COVID. So, why is there a divide there? I don't know. And I do blame mainstream press and also the government in the way that they portray themselves at Number 10 Downing Street briefing of, be safe, keep people safe, don't do the vaccine. And they don't, and they should say experimental vaccine as well at the start, because people, when they see the word approve, it was all over the press when it got approved in the EU. And when I looked, I was like, okay, cool. So somebody's actually done some proper testing. They've done everything, which is quite interesting if they have. I've looked at it, and then I've looked at the EU, medicine site sort of, regulatory body, and then it's just approved for emergency use.
Well, I guess many would say this is an emergency situation, so
again, no,
therefore, yeah.
But
Views are going to vary, and I'm going to respect any view that someone holds if it's based on having looked at things carefully, not just swallowed what somebody's thrown out there on Facebook or wherever.
exactly.
But if someone comes to a completely different conclusion to me from having looked at facts and data, then I'm going to respect their right to hold that opinion.
I think you can guarantee. Well, I don't think you can guarantee it, but I can honestly hold my head high and say I've looked at information, I've reviewed it, and I don't say things. I don't want to scare anybody. I just want people to be informed, and they don't seem to be doing that themselves. There's one quick thing before you go, because I just looked. It's 7:52, and as always, we have an amazing chat, and it's great. And we haven't covered all the stuff we really want to, but I know you've got to go and you've got other things to do. But what do you take on this thing where big tech is muting loads of channels because apparently they're all conspiracy theorists?
Big tech by which you mean
Google, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. It'll be interesting to see if something flags up now with me. I might actually not be on next week or the week after. No, seriously. Everybody in the YouTube industry or, in the social media industry is literally, I'm scared of what can I say? Because as soon as I go against the grain of the worldwide, acceptance of what's going on, if I go against that grain, I will be muted. And they're going along to BitChute. BitChute is, a platform where you won't be muted. So a lot of people are going to that and the new real YouTube or something. But it is a thing. I could actually disappear for this broadcast on YouTube. What's your take on that?
Well, it's another one of those real difficult areas, because I'm completely in favour of free speech. I'm not in favour of hate speech, but where do you draw the line? So I'm not saying that, but hate speech is one of the ones where on the face of it, it might be pretty easy to identify, and most of us would say that shouldn't be out there. It's right to block it. But then when it comes to things that might be disputed as to whether they are truth or not, then it often comes down, particularly in emerging new data and subject matter like what we've been talking about, to say, well, I'm going to block this being said because according to this source it's not the truth. And actually the more we get into it and the more we know, we might find it contains some truth and other views contain other different bits of the truth. I'm not expressing myself very well, but that's because it's really hard, and it's not one that you can say there are clear lines that need to be drawn. And I wouldn't like to be, one of those big tech companies having to make those decisions, perhaps being sometimes pressured into say you should be blocking this, you're not, you're allowing it to continue, and there's a panic reaction and they close things down that actually might turn out to be, that they might not be dangerous or harmful, and they might actually turn out to be useful. If they contain some of the truth that needs to be out there, then they shouldn't be blocked. So it's a near impossible one to say I know the answer to this one, but I think there will certainly be cases where you might say they are on the side of caution, but that it strays into the territory of clamping down on free speech, which I would never be in favour of.
No, we shouldn't be. This is part of our right of free speech. Again, it's their platform; they can decide on what they choose, isn't it? I think that's where they're coming from. But it's, are they? I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there, I think. Yeah, they're scared of what's going to happen to them. Is that what you're saying, really? That they're going to be fined, for instance, because they've allowed certain speech to, carry on, which they shouldn't have done. Because, I was banned on Facebook for 24 hours because of the release of COVID, the Centre-Backs. By the way, Centre-Backs, I'm really unhappy about, is they sold out to Charles River for 104 million.
Oh. Which
they're now on, obviously, the stock exchange. But I haven't really communicated with Jacob for a while now because of it. But the big thing there is, again, I still recommend, either Regeneron or Centre-Backs rather than take an experimental vaccine, the mRNA thing. Because if you get COVID, antibody therapeutic, that will literally, start working within a couple of hours. And, I can't deny what it will do, and how revolutionary it is and how it works and from everything that I've looked at. But, that could be used as a prophylactic, but it's very expensive compared to a jibby jab. So, but the biggest thing there, for creating that video, I was banned on Facebook for 24 hours, which is disgusting. It was banned on YouTube, but after I sent in at 3 o'clock in the morning, I sent in an email, obviously in retort to you. This is the actual guy who's actually, up there is head of like DARPA and God knows what else. He's in there. It's actually him. I'm nowhere in the video. Fair enough. You want to get rid of my ugly face. I understand that. But here, what I mean? But Facebook, categorically nothing. They literally said, no, you're a liar. Boom. That's disgusting. So even though if they fact checked, which they're not doing, they're just instantly banning. If your name doesn't fit, you're not coming in, basically. So, or your ideals, or your what you're pushing forward, which is scary because the only way you know the truth is when you can look at both sides of the story and then say, right, okay, or at least be educated into which side you want to believe. So,
yeah. Arguments need to be challenged and go back and forth, and the truth emerges. But if the moment an argument is challenged, the reaction is it's got to be shut down, and we won't hear that again. Then,
that's wrong.
The alternatives, whether they've been challenged or not, have automatically won the day. And I think there's always place for hearing all sides of an argument before making your decision.
Yeah, and that's again. So come up to 8 o'clock. So
okay, yeah.
So I know you've got like another phone call to the US actually, which I communicate with a lot of family out there. Once again, Mayor Mike, maybe we shouldn't leave it so long because
it's been good being back with you. Yeah, happy to do it again. And
you're a man of luxury at the moment, of leisure, aren't you?
Well, it's surprising how your time can get filled.
Yes, I can imagine. You got that deal.
I'm sounding. Although I haven't retired and haven't got any intention to retire. I'm sounding like one of those retired people. Oh, I can't believe how busy I am. And what have you been doing? Well, not very much because I haven't been anywhere, and I've had a couple of council meetings and this, that, and the other. But your time seems to fill somehow.
It does. It's extraordinary.
It's interesting.
It is.
But anyway, I'll always make time for you, Martin. So let's set up another one.
Okay, we'll get
plenty more to say. Lots to talk about with youth concern and lots of other good things going on around the town. So as long as I remain mayor, I will keep supporting all of that and keeping in touch with you.
Excellent. That's brilliant. Nice to hear you. Nice to speak to you. And congratulations on moving in with your other half. And shame we're going to lose you as well. But okay, we shall obviously catch up soon.
Okay. Cheers, mate.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.